Hi my dear friends, hopefully all of you fine and safe. I am also fine and safe my dear friends. Dear friends, IDT Booster Part 2. Now I am referring to you by considering the provisions of the GST. Before commencing Part 2 of IDT Booster, I am presenting in front of you important announcement from our Unacademy for our beloved students. CA Iconic Program, a flagship program for CA final aspirants, which has much more benefits than that of your plus course. Here, live monitoring platform LMP, which has the following benefits: one-to-one doubt solving, followed by evaluated test papers. Printed textbooks are available from the topmost Unacademy educators as well as Yashas Academy educators. Discord community building platform is available here. Live classes, weekly test, study material, unlimited access, structured courses are available for CA Final. Is a flagship program of Unacademy Iconic Program. One-to-one live monitoring in Iconic launched now, followed by evaluated test series. Give your exam preparation an extra edge with our latest addition in Iconic subscription. Iconic subscription group 1, you have 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months like that. While subscribing, please use my referral code. Use my code RAFI Rafi Live. That is the code which gives you 10% flat discount from the existing subscription fees. Group 2, subscription, Iconic subscription, where you can use my referral code RAFI Live. You will get 10% discount in addition to that particular whatever benefits they are offering as a combo benefits. Further, my dear friends, Iconic subscription you can combo benefit you can get for group 1, group 2 together using my referral code RAFI Live for getting benefit of 10% discount from the existing subscription price. Followed by, dear friends, CA Final Indirect Tax Laws, my classes in Unacademy Learning App, special classes free of cost to our beloved students. Watch my next special classes for free. New feature we have here, raise a hand feature, voice chat, like you can able to have the cell phone talking like that, you can talk, the ask your doubts through screenshots, text and voice chat, test your knowledge through live quizzes and polls. Unacademy, ask a doubt at any time from anywhere. This is a feature available, my dear friends. Ask unlimited doubts, ask doubts at any time, get high quality solutions in English and Hindi, receive exam matches for questions, obtain instant and accurate solution to questions, get assistance with your homework. Plus subscription, where you will get the benefit of raise a hand or the chat option you will have in the case of subscription plus subscription, my dear friends. You will get material also soft copy, hard copy material will be available in Iconic subscription. By using my code RAFI Live, you will get 10% off from the existing subscription. Plus subscription it is. Combo subscription, group 1 and group 2 together also you can subscribe. Iconic subscription, where you can use my referral code RAFI LIVE, get 10% off from the existing subscription price. So we recommend to our students to go for Iconic subscription Ultimate, a flagship program for CA final from Unacademy desk. So with this, now I am going to present in front of you the subject of IDT Booster Part 2 as follows. Furthermore, my dear friends, referring here the professional sector wherein incubating a growing baby in the industry, high technical product producing, having a agreement with the government, namely the incubator, for a period of 3 years, exempted from the payment of the GST provided their turnover not exceeding any financial year 50 lakhs. Further, my dear friends, non-profit organization sector where activities relating to welfare of industries, industrial or agricultural labor or farm labor, where the consideration up to ₹1,000 per member per year, where services supplied by unincorporated body or a non-profit entity registered under any law for the time being in force, qualify exemption. Or promotion, trade, culture, commerce, industry, where per member membership fees per member ₹1,000 or less per year, qualify exemption. The monthly maintenance of Residential Welfare Association, where per member per flat per month less than or equal to ₹7,500, qualify from exemption. As a trade union, if they offer these services to their members, qualify from exemption. Or a particular unincorporated body or non-profit entity provide these services where it is carried out activity which is exempt from the payment of the GST, qualify exemption. What do you mean that exempted supply qualify from exemption? Means RWA provided health care services which is exempted nature of supply to their members by RWA, Residential Welfare Association. Exempted supply carried out by RWA to their member, also exempted. Further, my dear friends, we referred here construction sector. Yes, pure labor services in relation to Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or all mission for all the housing for all urban mission scheme, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana scheme, qualify from exemption. Or pure labor services for construction of an individual house, single house, qualify from exemption. Furthermore, my dear friends, the intermediary sector services, where services offered by an intermediary from India, where earning the commission by transporting the goods from outside India to a country outside India, earning the commission in India, also qualify from exemption. Other services, other sector services like transit cargo between Nepal and Bhutan, landlocked countries, services are exempted. Ration shop wala, public distribution system, earning the commission, exempted. Admission to a road or national highway by paying the toll charges, qualify exemption. Electricity services offered by the authorized electrical board like central board, state board or licensing authority provide the distribution of electricity free from GST. Likewise, certification granted by FSSAI, Food Safety Standards of India, Food Safety and Standards of Authority of India, exempted. Goods and services network portal provide the services to Government of India, exempted. In the case of other services, exhibition held outside India is exempted in India. Further, admission to a particular diplomatic missions provide the service in India, exempted. Foreign diplomat providing service in India, approved international organization providing services in India, exempted. Slaughterhouse services in India, exempted. The Right to Information Act getting the information by paying the fees, qualify exemption. Excess royalty collection contractor also be qualify exemption if he earn the commission from the state government. And also we have, my dear friends, some of the IGST nature exemption. import of services by government, local authority, governmental authority or any other individual unregistered person import these services for the personal purposes qualify from exemption if it is not OIDR services. OIDR services imported by a person other than what we can call as registered person or unregistered individual, OIDR wala liable to pay GST in India. Likewise we too have the furthermore exemptions from non-taxability to non-taxability is also exempted. Further, import of service by 12AA entity for the specified charitable purpose in India exempted. And also we have here one particular case, Reserve Bank of India import these services qualify from exemption. Like that we have exemptions at international level, I mean to say at IGST level. Further, my dear friends, I have import of services purpose, a diagrammatic presentation. Just look and understand. No need of any struggling here and there. Just look and understand. Import of services by government, by local authority, by government authority, by individual other than registered person, namely unregistered person, if they import these services, yes. For consideration, yes. OIDR services, yes. In that case, the OIDR were liable to pay GST. If no means exempted. If it is for consideration, no. If it is for consideration, then import the services other than the OIDR exempted. If it is for no consideration, not a OIDR service, in that case import the service for consideration or no consideration, not a OIDR nature, then no consideration, not attract the GST. If it is imported by service imported by any person other than this particular non-taxable online recipients, if so, for consideration, no sir. Specified under Schedule 1 as related parties, no sir. Then no consideration, not cover Schedule 1. Therefore, not liable for GST. If it is imported by any other person for consideration other than the non-taxable online recipient, in that case it is exempt supply, yes sir, then no GST. If not exempted, recipient liable to pay GST under RCM. As simple as that, my dear friends. Further, reverse charge category of services we have GTS services, arbitral tribunal services, advocate services. I referred GTS services just now, arbitral tribunal services under the exemption I referred. Further, sponsorship services also referred when liable to pay under RCM. Government local authority also I referred in the nature of referring exempted supply. Government provides the supply or local authority provides services which is not a forward charge, not qualify under exemption RCM, recipient liable to pay GST. Further, transfer of development rights, transfer of the floor space index or long term lease of land is exempted provided the recipient being a contractor going to pay the GST under the construction supply of services. Director of a company, in that director of a company liable to pay GST, the fees paid to the director which covered under 194J, 194C other than 192. In that case, it will be RCM. If FSI floor space index, transfer of development right TDR, or like that the long term lease, if you supply to a builder promoter, if he is not going to pay the GST under the construction supply services, is taxable. Who liable to pay GST? Builder promoter being a recipient liable to pay GST. Further, my dear friends, insurance services supplied by an agent to insurance company under RCM, recovery agent services provided to banking company, RCM apply, recipient liable to pay, being a banking company, NBFC liable to pay GST. Supply of services by a music composer, photographer, artist or the like, then the recipient liable to pay GST in the given case. Service by an author is considered upfront, recipient liable to pay being a publisher GST. If the publisher denied to pay, author willing to pay the GST and a forward charge, then that time it is a forward charge. Further, import of services, just now I referred to a big chart on it, recipient liable to pay GST. Transportation of goods by a vessel from a place outside India up to the Indian custom station in India for clearing in India, importer liable to pay GST on sea freight. Further, services offered by banking business facilitator or business correspondent to a banking company which is other than rural area. If it's rural area, exempted. Other than rural area, taxable. In that case, recipient liable to pay GST being a banking company. Services provided by an agent of business correspondent to a banking to a business correspondent. Service provided by agent of business correspondent to a business correspondent is a subcontract, is also be taxable. If so, the main agent of the business correspondence liable to pay GST under RCM. Security services, important to note my dear friends, security services when will come under the reverse charge. Supplier of security services should be other than body corporate. Supplier of security services, any person other than body corporate provided services to the recipient who is a registered person located in the taxable territory, then the RCM applied. Supplier should be other than body corporate. Recipient should be a registered person. In that case, security services will fall under the reverse charge category. Further, renting of motor vehicle. Also, in the given case, the rent of motor vehicle includes the fuel charges. The supplier is any person other than the body corporate and the recipient should be a body corporate located in the taxable territory, then only the reverse charge comes into picture. Further, services by way of lending securities, in that case the particular person who paying the rental charges for the securities to the owner of the securities being a recipient, he is liable to pay GST. Namely, these particular security lending services who borrow the securities on charge basis, that borrower liable to pay GST. The person who borrow the particular securities from the depository, that person liable to pay GST under RCM. Recipient liable to pay GST under RCM. In the given case, a particular what we can call it as borrower liable to pay GST. Further, services provided by way of individual direct selling agent to a banking company where the banking company liable to pay GST. At the same time, service provided by overseeing committee to Reserve Bank of India where the Reserve Bank of India being a recipient liable to pay GST under RCM, my dear friends. Likewise, we do have section 9, subsection 5 also, radio taxi services, short term accommodation services, housekeeping services. This has been briefed sometimes before, my dear friends, which is also fall under the reverse charge under 9.5 category or 5.5 of the IGST category. With this, we covered the reverse charge. Now entering into here, time of supply. Just like that we are discussing same entire time of supply chapter I am presenting in here in one particular slide. Just look and understand, my dear friends, which are as follows. Look on the screen, my dear sir. Time of supply bifurcated in two parts. Supply of goods, supply of services. When we go to supply of goods, normal scheme. Section 12, section 1, supply of goods, forward charge apply. Or supply of goods, reverse charge apply. Refer section 12.2 to 12.6. Says 12.1. 12.2 says forward charge. Date of invoice or the last date on which invoice should have been issued. Whichever is earlier is the time of supply. That means as per section 31, when should we issue the invoice? Before or the time of removal. The date of invoice or the last date out to be issued but not issue the invoice, whichever is earlier is the time of supply. RCM case, supply of goods, RCM case, the receipt of the goods, the date of payment to the supplier or the first day after expiry of 30 days from the date of invoice. Among the three, whichever is earlier is the time of supply. In the case of voucher, any goods or services as the case may be, where it is identified at the time of providing that particular voucher, identifiable against what you want to redeem, then in that case, date of issue of voucher is the time of supply. If it is not identifiable with the product, date of actual redemption is the time of supply. In the case of residual clause, where the period not known for which period the tax belongs, in that case due date of filing the return. If you know the due dates, They accordingly, if they do not know the due date, the actual payment of tax is the due date, time of supply. What do you mean this? Residual clause means if a transaction not covered under section 12.3, section 12.2 to 12.4 will fall by default 12.5, where it is residual clause. In that case, if you know the due date of filing the return is the time of supply. If do not know actual payment of tax is the time of supply. In the case of late fee, interest penalties are considered. Section 12.6 of the CGST Act speaks time of supply equal to date of receipt of that payment is the time of supply. In the case of supply of services are considered, my dear friends, supply of service is considered. Section 13 speaks this provision. With regard to composition scheme, time of supply is a turnover. Turnover based tax it is. Therefore, turnover is the base to pay the GST. In case of supply of services, section 13.1 speaks that refer section 13.2 to section 13.6 for the supply of service time of supply. Section 13.2 forward charge time of supply is equal to date of issue of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice issued within 30 days from the date of the completion of the supply of service. In the case of a banking company or NBFC, within 45 days from the date of completion of supply of service, the invoice should be issued by banking company or NBFC, or the date of issue of invoice or date of payment, which was earlier. If the invoice not issued as per that particular time period, date of completion of supply of service or date of payment, whichever is earlier, is the time of supply. In the case of forward charge, supply of services falls under section 13 subsection 3. Further, section 13 subsection 3, section 13 subsection 2 forward charge, section 13 subsection 2 forward charge, supply of services, just as referred. Section 13 section 13 subsection 3 of the CGST speaks about reverse charge time of supplies in case of supply of services. Date of payment is the time of supply if the payment made within 60 days from the date of invoice. If not, the first day that occurs after expiry of 60 days from the date of invoice is the time of supply. In the case of import of services between associate enterprises, the date of book entry of receipt of service or date of making the payment to its associate enterprises, whichever is earlier, is the time of supply. In case of voucher, same as we understood in the section 12 subsection 4 of the CGST, supply of goods, voucher issued against a product, the date of issue of voucher is the time of supply. Similarly, voucher issued against a service, identifiable, yes, the date of issue of voucher, time of supply. If not identifiable with the date of on the date of issue of voucher, we are not able to identify which against which service is going to be redeemed. In that case, actual redemption will be time of supply. Like that residual clause, if the due date knows, due date is the time of supply. Not known, actual payment is the time of supply. In case of late fee and all, actual receipt of that late fee and interest penalty is the time of supply. Further, my dear friends, under section 14, where there is a change in the rate of tax in between supply of goods or services, invoice or payment received, among the three, there is a change in the rate of tax. In that case, the majority principle will decide the rate of tax. Old date applicable, new date applicable. What is majority principle? Means the date of completion, date of invoice, before change or after change. Date of completion, date of payment, before change or after change. Date of invoice, date of payment, before change or after change. Like that, you have to consider majority principle. Among the three, which one is majority, that rate will be decided. Further, my dear friends, in the case of time of supply, under the section 14, supply of goods, date of invoice. With regard to supply of services, date of payment, if the payment is matching with the date of completion of supply. If not, invoice date is the time of supply. If the invoice is matching with the date of completion of supply, which is simplified manner, we can able to identify the time of supply in the case of supply of goods or services. In the case of supply of services, section 14 says that time of supply is equal to date of invoice if the invoice matching with the date of completion of supply of service. If not, date of payment is the time of supply, the payment is matching with the date of completion of supply of service. Both are not matching, neither invoice nor payment. In that case, date of payment or date of invoice, among the two, whichever is earlier is the time of supply. Further, my dear friends, referring here, place of supply, supply of goods, place of supply, supply of goods, other than import or export of goods takes place, where the movement of the goods taken place, the movement terminates is the place of supply. If the goods are delivered upon the direction of a third party, the principal place of the third party is the place of supply. If the goods has been supply taken place for the goods without movement of the goods, where the goods are held at the time of supply is the place of supply. If the goods are assembled or erected, the place of assembling or erection is the place of supply. If the goods are supplied on boat conveyance, the place where the goods are loaded into the boat of that particular boat of conveyance is the place of supply in the case of supply of goods. With regard to import or export of goods are considered, where the import of goods, then import into India, location of the import is the place of supply. The export of goods are considered where the place of the goods outside India, as simple as that. Referring to you section 12 of IGST, place of supply of services, where we have 14 subsections, my dear friends. Section 12, subsection 1 to subsection 14, there are 14 subsections we have under section 12, where location of supplier and location of recipient from taxable territory. In that case, please refer section 12 series, says section 12(1), where section 12(2) speaks that default provision, section 12(3) to 12(14) of IGST not applicable, it fall under section 12 subsection 2, where a default provision, place of supply is equal to location of the recipient if the recipient is a registered person. If not, location of the recipient is identifiable with the supplier, then the recipient location is the place of supply. If that is also not identifiable, then the place of supply goes to location of supplier, section 12(2), default provision. Section 12(13), where you are referring section 12 subsection 3, clause A, clause B, clause C, clause D of IGST, services in relation to immovable property, place of supply is equal to where the property is located or intended to be located. If it is outside India, place of supply goes back to location of the recipient. For architect services, interior decorating services, surveyor services, engineering services, service provided by grant of right to use immovable property services, or for carrying out any ordinary coordination or completion of construction services in relation to immovable property or ancillary thereto, as the case may be. Likewise, my dear friends, hotel, inn, guest house stay, home stay and all consider. Likewise, any marriage function or official function carrying out in an immovable property where the property is located, or if we locate outside India, the place of supply goes back to location of the recipient. Further, section 12 subsection 4 of IGST, where supply in relation to restaurant services, catering services or personal grooming services, fitness services, beauty treatment services, healthcare services, which includes cosmetic, plastic services considered, where the performance is performed on individual is the place of supply. Further, section 12(5) of the IGST speaks service in relation to training and performance. The recipient location is the place of supply if the recipient is a registered person. If the recipient is a registered person, where the performance actually performed is the place of supply. Further, section 12 subsection 6, admission to cultural, artistic, sporting, scientific, educational, entertainment event, amusement facilities are considered place of supply is equal to where the event actually held is the place of supply. If it is admission to the events, if it is organizing of events, section 12(7) of the IGST, cultural event, scientific event, artistic event, educational event, entertainment event, organizing the event, place of supply as per section 12(7) is equal to location of the recipient if the recipient is a registered person. If the recipient is an unregistered person, where the event actually held is the place of supply for organizing the event. If the event held outside India, the place of supply goes back to location of the recipient. As simple as that, my dear friends. Furthermore, section 12 subsection 8 of the IGST speaks place of supply where transportation of goods are considered, location of the recipient is the place of supply if the recipient is a registered person. If the recipient is a registered person, then where the goods are handed over to the transporter for its transportation is the place of supply. At the same time, if the goods are destined outside India, place of supply goes to outside India only. Furthermore, section 12, section 9 of the IGST speaks transportation of passenger services. Place of supply is equal to location of the recipient. If the recipient location, namely, if the recipient is a registered person, is the place of supply. Repeating, in the case of transportation of passenger services, location of the recipient is the place of supply, the recipient is a registered person. If the recipient is an unregistered person, in that case, then place of embarking, place of departuring is the place of supply. And furthermore, my dear friends, right to passage is considered where the place of supply is the location of the recipient if the recipient is a registered person. If not, recipient address available with the location of the supplier is the place of supply. If that is also not available, location of the supplier is the place of supply in the case of right to passage, like a seasonal tickets. Further, my dear friends, section 12, section 10 of the IGST, which talks about transportation, namely supply of services on board conveyance, supply of services on board conveyance, like what we can call it as food and beverages and are provided on board conveyance, vessel, aircraft, train, motor vehicle, as the case may be. In that case, on demand providing food, video games, movie and all on board conveyance. Place of supply as per section 12.10 of the IGST speaks for the first scheduled departure point of the conveyance. First scheduled departure point of the conveyance is the place of supply. In the case of section 12, section 11, telecommunication services, fixed line where it is installed is the place of supply. If it is a postpaid, the billing address, prepaid, the location where the prepaid voucher is sold. In the case where the prepaid voucher has been sold through internet, the billing address will be the place of supply. If not identifiable, in that case, location of supply is the place of supply. Section 12 of the IGST speaks place of supply of banking company NBFC, where location of the recipient of service is available with the books of the supplier is the place of supply. If not, location of the supplier. In the case of insurance company, section 12, section 13, location of the recipient is the place of supply if the recipient is a registered person. If the recipient is an unregistered person, the location of the recipient, the address of the recipient is available with the books of the supplier is the place of supply. Further, my dear friends, section 12, section 14, place of supply in case of advertisement services provided to specified persons, to government, central government, state government, union territory, local authority, or to a statutory body. In that case, place of supply is equal to each state or UT where the advertisement taking place is the place of supply. As simple as that, my dear friends, where section 12 has 14 subsections which will come into picture only when the supply of service taken place between supplier and recipient both are located in taxable territory, then only toll series will come into picture. If location of supplier or location of recipient from outside India, we bound to refer place of supply by referring section 13, which is as follows, my dear friends. My dear friends, as you are aware of that, here location of supplier or location of recipient from outside India, place of supply of services is considered. Section 13.1 says that you refer section 13.2 to section 13.13. We have 13 subsections where section 13.2 speaks by default provision, which is not applied from 13.3 to 13.13 will fall under 13.2, where location of the recipient is identifiable in the ordinary course of business. Yes sir, in that case place of supply is equal to location of the recipient. If not, location of supply is the place of supply. Further, section 13.3a, which talks about services in relation to tangible goods, where the goods are actually held or actually the goods on which performance taken place, location where the goods are actually performed, location where the service are actually performed on tangible goods is the place of supply. If supplied through a telecommunication channels, in that case, my dear friends, place of supply is equal to where the actually tangible goods are located or held is the place of supply. There is a clarification of the CBSE in this regard. If the goods are temporarily imported for repair and re-exporting to an defined currency, the place of supply as per section 13 subsection 2, but not as per section 13 subsection 3. Further, in case of supply of services, section 13(3)(b) on individuals, cosmetic services, beauty treatment services, health services, personal security services, classrooming services, photographic services, internet cafe services, and etc. In that case, location where the individual is presented to have performance of services, where these services are actually performed, is the place of supply as per section 13 subsection 3 clause B. Further, section 13 subsection 4, service in relation to immovable property, where the property is located is the place of supply. If section 13(5), if it is admission to or organizing an event, where the event actually held is the place of supply. Further, section 13 subsection 6, where section 13(3) or 13(4), 13(5) partly in India, partly outside India, then entire supply is taxable in India. Place of supply is each taxable territory or UT, namely, or each state or UT is the place of supply. Further, my dear friends, in the given case, my dear sir, partly in India, partly outside India, a service of in relation to section 13(3), performance of service and tangible goods, 13(4), in the service in relation to immovable property, 13(5), admission to an organizing event, partly in India, partly outside India. Then in India, each state or UT is a place of supply, where taxable in the entire supply. Further, section 13 subsection 7, which talks about, my dear friends, the 13(3) to 13(5), partly in more than one state or UT within India only. Each state or UT is the place of supply. Section 13 subsection 8, where it is transport, it is specified services in relation to three activities especially. 1. Banking sector provide these services to their account holders, or NBFC to account holders, interim, namely intermediary services, or services of consisting of means of hiring of transport other than aircraft, vessel, except hatches for a period for 1 month. All these three cases, location of supplier is the place of supply as per section 13 subsection 8. Section 39, transportation of goods is considered place of supply is equal to destination of the goods. Section 13 subsection 10, transportation of passengers are considered from where the passenger embarks is the place of supply. Section 13 subsection 11, facility provided on board conveyance, place of supply is equal to, my dear friends, the first scheduled departure point of the conveyance is the place of supply. Further, section 13 subsection 12, void air services is considered place of supply is equal to location of the recipient is the place of supply. If online information database access retrieval services provided, then section 13 subsection 12 speaks that place of supply is equal to location of the recipient. At the same time, section 13(13) of IGST speaks power to notify the supply of services as circumstances where there is a double taxation due to our place of supply, then the government will notify the place of supply different place to avoid the tax thereon, or a case where not taxed, transaction not taxed neither outside India nor India, in that case declare that case place of supply as a TT to tax. So, like that, power to notify the place of supply is with the government is the meaning of that. So, with this we have been covered the almost all these provisions of section 13 subsection 1 to subsection 13 of the IGST with regard to place of supply, my dear friends. Under the place of supply, my dear friends, we too have IGST rules. Why we should have to have IGST rules means where there is consolidated value is available, contract not contain clear details with regard to state wise, UT wise, what is the value, if the place of supply happens to be happen more than one state or UT. In that case, these valuation rules, namely IGST rules, to arrive the value state wise or UT wise helpful. In this process, one example here, very comprehensive manner, advertisement in television channels, where the rule number 3 speaks that advertisement to government local authority or government agency, advertisement to section 12 section 14, read with rule number 3 of the IGST. In that case, viewership data is the base, each state UT wise. If the viewership data is available more than one state comprising as a region, Telugu speaking region, Tamil speaking region, like that we have the more than one state. In that case, take the each state latest census of the population as a base, bifurcate the viewership data. According to the viewership data, bifurcate the concerned value between the states or UTs. Like that, we too have rule number 4. Rule number 4, services by way of lodging accommodation by way of hotel in guest house, where it is a single property, contiguous zone. Single property contiguous zone is considered. Contiguous zone means what? A particular boundary of a two states, adjacent boundary. There a particular property partly in one state, partly in other state. In that case, the concerned value how to bifurcate means in the given case, the area of the immovable property is the base to bifurcate. If it is more than one property, in that case, the number of nights of the particular person booking in that particular hotel or accommodation is the base to apportion the concerned value. Further, in the rule number 4 itself, in the case where property is more than one location, property located more than one location, in that case, my friends, property located more than one location, accommodation in an immovable property for organizing any marriage or reception, etc., area of the immovable property is the best to bifurcate the concerned values. Likewise, in case of lodging accommodation or boat house, namely houseboat and all, vessel is considered, accommodation is provided in the vessel or lodging or houseboat. In that case, number of hours spent by that particular boat or vessel in each state or UT is the best to bifurcate the consolidated values, my dear friends. Similarly, rule number 5 we have here. Place of supply in case of services of attributable to different states or UTs with regard to section 12(7) of the IGST. 12(7) of IGST talks about what? The organizing of the event. In the case of an organizing of event, my dear friends, in the case of organizing of an event is considered, recipient is a registered person, place of supply, location of the recipient, this won't come into picture. If it is an unregistered person, in that case, more than one state or UT, the place of supply, because each event where actually held is the place of supply. In that case, more than one state or UT, concerned value will be as per the generally accepted accounting principles with regard to organizing of an event to an unregistered person in India. Place of supply is equal to more than one state or UT, concerned value will be bifurcated based on the generally accepted accounting principles as per the rule number 5. Rule number 6, which talks about the telecommunication services where the place of supply more than one state or UT. In that case, each state in which how many points, each point will be the base. In the state of Telangana, 1 point. In the state of Karnataka, starting point is 1 point, ending point also 1 point. So like that, you take the points as a base to bifurcate the concerned value. With regard to section, furthermore, section 13(3)(a) of the IGST, rule number 7 speaks that where the service provided on use on tangible goods, one property using more than one state or UT is the place of supply is a state or UT. In that case, the concerned value will bifurcate equally between the states or UTs. If it is more than one product in two different states or UTs are considered, the respective product invoice value will be the best to bifurcate the consolidated values. Further, my dear friends, in the case where on individuals, performance officers are individuals, in that case generally accepted accounting principles is the base. Rule number 8, 9 is as per the rule number 4 and 5, copy and paste, as simple as that. With this I can say that the IGST rules is concluded. Further, referring to here, value of supply, how to have the valuation. Rule section 15 of the CGST, read with the valuation rules we have, where the price has sole consideration, yes, and the supplier and the recipient not related parties, yes. In that case, that means here you refer price has a sole consideration, yes. Seller and buyer are related, no, that means they are not related parties. In that case, valuation will be as per section 15 subsection 1 to section 15 subsection 3. You can get transaction value here. How you will get here? Look, my dear friends, the value lifted from the books as a supply, add if not included in the above the following as per section 15 to A. Any taxes or duties except GST taxes should be added. Further, 15 to B, supplies made by recipient on behalf of the supplier free of cost before made a supply, the value should be added. 15 to C, commission, packing and incident expenditure paid by the recipient on behalf of the supplier should add it in the value of supply. Interest or late fee or penalty for delay payment if received by the supplier, 15 to D should be added in the value of supply. 15 to E, subsidy directly linked to the price other than government subsidy should add in the value of supply, and arrive the value from the deduct discount as referred under section 15 subsection 3 of the CGST. The discount may be a cash discount, it may be a trade discount, but should be given before the supply or at least mentioned in the invoice to be provided in the subsequent sale. In the invoice should be mentioned. In that case, the discount can be deducted. If the discount neither mentioned in the invoice nor given before supply at a later date after sale, if you give, that cannot be allowed as a deduction. Further, my dear friends, if the price has no sole consideration, in that case I bound to refer section 15 subsection 4, which refers us to read the rule number 27 to rule number 35 to have the valuation. Different rules we have. Rule number 27 to rule number 31 we have, followed by rule number 31A to rule number 35. Furthermore, valuation we have as a valuation rules. So, in this regard, what are the circulars of the CBIC in this regard? We have following circulars of the CBIC with regard to this, whether to tax or not to tax, if taxable, how much taxable or not. Donation or gift from individual donors should not be form part of the consideration, because there is no reciprocity flowing from one to the other. Further, TDS, TCS should not be form part of the value of supply. I mean to say TDS, tax deducted at source of the Income Tax Act, tax collected at source of the Income Tax Act should not be form part here. In the value of supply, when you refer the value of supply, my dear friends, a particular person being a practicing chartered accountant raised the bill for 1 lakh with the GST 18,000, 1 lakh 18 given to corporate company, that fellow making the payment. TDS under section 194J of the Income Tax Act should deduct at the rate of 10% on what? Only on 1 lakh, not inclusive of TDS of TDS should not be deducted inclusive of GST. That means 1 lakh plus GST 18,000, 1 lakh 18,000. You being a deductor under 194J should get the TDS 10% only on 1 lakh, not 1 lakh 18,000. Is a clarification of CBDT, followed by TCS. TCS is going to be collected by the supplier of that goods. If so, that TCS should not be form part of the value of supply to tax the GST. Further, GST in case of delay payment charges, if it is given, the loan given by the bank, while repaying the loan to the bank, delay happened, interest there are not taxable, delay charges there are also not taxable, penal interest there are not taxable. If it is given by goods, I purchase the laptop on credit basis, while repaying the payment, delay happened. In that case, the delay charges will attract GST. Further, in relation to Residential Welfare Association is considered, monthly maintenance per member per flat less than or equal to rupees 7,500 qualify from exemption. If it is more than 7,500, taxable in the hands of Residential Welfare Association, provided Residential Welfare Association its turnover exceeded the threshold limit for registration. Further, my dear friends, it is very important, my dear, to note at professional level, at a CA final level, you should know this particular notification of the government with regard to 70% of the goods, 70% of the value of the work contract is the goods, 30% of the work contract is equal to value of service. We have under GST only for specified cases where the work contract relating to biogas plant, solar power based devices, solar power generating system, followed by windmill, wind operated electricity generator, or waste to energy plants or devices, ocean waves, tides, tidal waves, energy devices or plants are considered where it is going to be erect as a works contract, value of the goods, value of services, together a works contract. Out of that, 70% equal to value of the goods, 30% of the contract is equal to value of service, and tax accordingly. 70% of the goods will attract the 5% of the GST, 30% of the works contract will attract the 18% of the GST. Further, my dear friends, supply of molds and dies freely by whom? By original equipment manufacturer to component manufacturer. If so, that is going to return back to OEM, therefore whose value should not add in the value of supply of the components. However, if the molds and dies are amortized on the component cost by the component manufacturer, the molds and dies cost should be add in the value of supply of component to pay the GST. Further, my dear friends, if there is no sole consideration, rule number 27A says that refer the open market value is the base. If not, sum total of consideration of equal to money is the base. If rule number 27A not applicable, rule number 27B is applicable. If rule number 27B is not applicable, rule number 27C talks about like kind and quality of the goods is applicable. If that is also not applicable, rule number 30 is applicable, cost plus profit at the rate of 10% as rule number 27D. If rule number 30 is also a bit of difficult to arrive, rule number 31, a residual method, the department officer will use his best of knowledge and arrive the value, you are bound to pay the tax. If you have any objection, go for appeal. Is called as the rule number 27. Here we have, my dear friends, under rule number 27, the simplified one example I will bring here for a kind consideration. Here if you refer, X Limited is a supplier of the security services where he providing service for 1 lakh, where instead of charging 1 lakh bill, charge rupees 80,000 because the recipient given to the supplier 20,000 of the what we can call as uniform to the security person. In that case, the person security wala provided services received partly in kind, partly in cash. In that case, sum total of consideration equal to money value is value of tax supply. This is nothing but 80,000 rupees value of money plus 20,000 is the value of the uniform. Together 1 lakh is a taxable supply. Further, my dear friends, once you cover rule number 27, refer the rule number 28. If 27 is not there, 28. 28 when will come? A transaction between distinct person or related persons. In that case, rule number 28A says that open market value is available, there is a final. If not, rule number 29B says that like kind and quality of the goods is available, there is a final. If that is also not available, rule number 28C says that rule number 30 cost plus profit 10% is the value of supply. If not, rule number 31 residual method, best judgment assessment, department officer will arrive the value, rule number 31 says rule number 28C. Here we have first proviso, second proviso to rule number 28. First proviso to rule number 28 speaks that where the goods supplied as such, the option of the supplier, the option of the supplier value shall be 90% is at the option of the supplier, 90% of the value of the price charged by the recipient is the value of the supplier for the supplier. For example, I am the head office, sent to my branch office by a distinct person worth rupees 1 lakh, but branch office selling that goods as such to somebody else at 1 lakh 5,000. If so, 90% of 1 lakh 5,000, 90% of 1 lakh 5,000 is 94,500 is the value of supply in the hands of supplier. That means the recipient selling to non-related party, that value 90% will be the value of supply in the hands of supplier in the case where goods supplied as such by the recipient. First proviso is an option, not compulsion to the supplier. If so, proviso 1 will apply. If not, proviso 2, where the recipient want to avail the ITC, the supplier shows in the invoice the value that itself is the open market value, that value will be value of supply in the hands of supplier when the goods supplied to distinct person or to a related party as per the second proviso to rule number 28. Got the clarity, my dear friends? Further, rule number 29, which talks about supply of goods made or received from an agent. Principal and agent relationship, open market value is available as per the open market value is the value of supply as per rule number 29A, or that you have a comparison at the option of the supplier, 90% of the price of the price charged by the recipient to the non-related party, that will be the value. If he likes, can adopt. Rule number 29B says that if rule number 29A is not applied, 29B you can refer, which says that value as per the cost plus profit, rule number 30. If not, rule number 31 as per the best judgment arrive the value, residual method, as the case may be. Further, rule number 30, which talks about cost plus profit, 10% is the value of supply. Rule number 31 is talks about best judgment assessment, where the department officer will arrive the value using his best of knowledge. If up to rule number 30, the provision not applicable. Further, my dear friends, rule number 31A, valuation in the case where supplier is government, recipient is a lottery agent. The recipient being a lottery agent liable to pay GST and RCM, the valuation will be as follows. The face value of the lottery ticket multiplied by 100 by 100 plus GST, which is 28%. Compare with the price notified by the organizing state in the official gazette multiplied by 100 by 100 plus GST. Among the two, whichever is higher is the value of supply. In the hands of recipient being a commission agent liable to pay GST under RCM is a supplier of goods concept, my dear friends, in fact. Further, rule number 32. Rule number 32 sub number 2 talks about money exchange services. Valuation as per the rule number 32 sub number 2 clause A, which says that there are 3 cases. Actual exchange rate compared with the Reserve Bank of India exchange, the difference multiplied with the number of units of the foreign currency, the output will be the value of supply. Second case, if RBI reference rate is not available, actual exchange rate is available, multiply with the number of units of the foreign currency, and the total apply 1%, that gives you value of taxable supply on which you pay the GST. Or otherwise, a third case, altogether different, cross currency. I have US dollars, I want UK pounds, I am in India. So the two foreign country currencies convert into Reserve Bank of India reference rate and get Indian rupees. Among the two values, lesser value choose, on that you apply 1%, that gives value of taxable supply on which you pay the GST. Is called as rule number 32 sub number 2 clause A. At the option of the supplier being a money exchanger, can choose rule number 32 sub number 2 clause B, where up to 1 lakh rupee of actual value of exchange, 1% is the value of tax supply, minimum is 250 rupees per transaction. Further, from 1 lakh to 10 lakhs is 0.5%. Up to 1 lakh, 1%. Further, more than 10 lakhs without upper limit, 0.1%. Up to 1 lakh, 1%. 1 lakh to 10 lakhs, 0.5%. More than 10 lakhs without upper limit, 0.1%. Total per transaction should not exceed rupees 60,000 is a taxable supplies. Minimum 250 rupees per transaction, maximum 60,000 rupees per transaction is a taxable supply. Accordingly, you pay the GST thereon. Further, my dear friends, rule number 32 sub rule number 3 I am referring here, which talks about the rule number 32 sub rule number 3. The air travel operator has the option to pay the GST taking domestic basic fare on which 5% is equal to value of taxable supply, pay the GST 18% thereon, or international booking basic fare on which 10% of the international booking basic fare on which 10% is equal to value of taxable supply, on which you pay the GST 18%. If not, on commission including year-ending bonus, on which you pay 18%, which is economically follow case to case. Further, rule number 32 sub number 4, valuation in the case of life insurance company which collecting premium covering risk plus saving. If so, the saving intimated to the policy holder at the time of collecting the premium, yes sir, then gross premium minus saving, net premium only taxable at the rate of 18%. If you are not able to intimate, but something you are going to pay at the end of the maturity period of that particular policy, in that case the premium collected first year, 25% of the premium is equal to taxable supply, pay the GST thereon. If the subsequent year premiums, 12.5% of the premium is equal to value of taxable supply, on which you pay the GST. If it is single annuity premium covering risk plus saving, on the total premium 10% equal to value of taxable supply, on which you pay the GST at the rate of 18%. Gather clarity, my dear friends, in the life insurance covering risk plus saving premiums. Rule number 32 sub number 5, which talks about buying and selling of second hand goods, where the goods repossessed from a defaulting borrower. No sir, in that case I am buying and selling of second hand goods. I have my own shop sir, buying and selling second hand goods. I am not availing ITC sir. In that case I am liable to pay GST only on margin. My sales more than my purchases, on the net margin only I will pay the GST. If I am availing ITC, then my transaction value will be applicable GST. If the goods are repossessed from defaulting borrower, in that case the purchase value for the lender is equal to purchase value of the defaulting borrower deducting 5% per quarter from the date of purchase to the date of disposal, from the date of repossession till the date of disposal, 5% per quarter reduced from the purchase price. The balance will be the purchase price of the lender, and when he sells at a price more than purchase price, the margin will be a positive, on which pay the GST, otherwise ignore the GST. Is called buying and selling of second hand goods. Further, the valuation for the redeemable vouchers. Redeemable vouchers are redeemable at the time of not identifiable, therefore redeemable. Actual redemption will be the time of supply. What value redeemed is the value of time of supply. If the voucher issued today, by identifying with the product or specific service, the value of voucher is the value of supply. Further, my dear friends, value of service provided by one distinct person to another distinct person, rule number 32 sub number 7. In this case, how to arrive the value is yet to be notified. As a nil, for whom it is applicable, yet to notify. Value of services provided by one distinct person to another distinct person, specified distinct persons, notified distinct persons, yet to be notified. If so, the value will be nil if they are covered under rule number 32 sub number 7. Rule number 33, value of supply of services in relation to a pure agent. Who is a pure agent? A pure agent is he who is neither intended to hold the title of the expenditure nor enjoying any benefit out of the expenditure, is called pure agent. For example, my dear friends, you are the importer, imported the machine which came from Thailand to Mumbai port. That has to be cleared from the Mumbai port to your factory. You appoint me as an agent, C&F agent. I went Mumbai port and clearing the goods by paying the import duty on behalf of you, 2 lakh rupees. I cleared the goods from the Mumbai port and delivered to your factory. Now my dear sir, in the given case, I paid 2 lakh rupee import duty on behalf of you. It is my expenditure? No. Am I enjoying the expenditure? No. In that case, I acted as a pure agent. On behalf of my recipient of service, recipient expenditure is paid by the supplier. That is reimbursing, is a pure agent expenditure, should not be form part of the value of supply. Like here also, the air travel operators collecting the passenger service fee or user development fee on behalf of the airport operator and collecting from the passenger and paying to airport operator as a pure agent, that value should not be added in the value of supply of the air travel operators. Further, my dear friends, if they got any commission for doing so, there is a taxable supply. Rule number 34, which talks about rate of exchange of currency for determination of value. Exchange rate with regard to supply of goods are considered the exchange rate as notified by the CBIC at the time of submission of bill of entry in case of import of goods. At the time of export of the goods, at the time of shipping the submission, the exchange rate of the CBIC is relevant. With regard to supply of services, import of services are considered generally accepted accounting principles. Based on that, the exchange rate will be considered for converting into Indian rupees. Rule number 35, which is value of supply. Rule number 35, which talks about here the value of supply, which includes taxes. Taxable value is equal to gross value multiplied by 100 plus 100 by 100 plus GST, will get taxable value. If it is a case where supply has been taken place, assuming exempt supply, the invoice not charge GST separately. Later on it is noticed that liable to pay GST. In that case, the value inclusive of GST I can pay in computation of GST by inclusive basis. Gross value multiplied by 100 divided by 100 plus GST. Whatever I will get taxable supply on which 18% GST, 12% GST, 28% GST, depends upon the rate of GST, I will pay the GST. Is clear, my dear friends? With this, valuation and valuation rules is concluded.